please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, good afternoon. You're watching Midcap Radar. I'm Sumaira Abdi and with me is my colleague Reema Tendulkar. Hi Reema, good afternoon to you. And well, it's a good day, and you know it's a good day when you have headwinds like crude, rupee, etc. But yet the market is going up. We have the tailwind, of course, of global cues. So all in all, it's looking like a good afternoon.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon to you and all our viewers. And focus will be on ICICI Bank as it declares numbers later today. We'll discuss all that and more in the next 30 minutes and a lot of mid-caps. Before that, a quick run through of the top headlines. Markets trade a day's high as the global risk on trade returns. However, rising crude prices remain a headwind that pressurizes the rupee. The mid-cap index trades in line.
Elevated slippages expected to bear down on ICICI Bank's earnings this quarter. The street watches for any management-related changes.
Bond yields fall as Reserve Bank announces a surprise buyback of bonds worth 10,000 crore rupees. NBFC stocks and PSU banks cheer.
Pharma stocks are the worst performing in trade, led by big losses in Lupin and Dr. Reddy's. From the broader markets, Walcott takes it on the chin after posting another quarter of losses. Well, those are all our top stories. It's time now for the technicals of trade. Ashwini Gujral joins in. Hi, Ashwini. Good afternoon to you. First up, let's talk about the market itself. What's your take?
See, the market is in a bit of a short covering mode, and the bank nifty is already breaking out. And the rest of the market also, if you see several sectors, laggard sectors, leaders, all moving higher. Several sectors are up more than 1%. So that shows that the market has strong support at lower levels. So as we go into the close, the idea should be to get long on the market and take it from there. One sector which is showing fresh moves is aviation, particularly Indigo. Seems like the downside has ended and it's now turning around and moving into the green. So that's where low risk buying can be done in spite of whatever crude etc. is doing, because that's chances are priced in. As far as right now is concerned, ICICI Bank is a buy with a stop of 284, target of 301. ONGC is a buy with a stop of 178, target of 192. And Bajaj Electric is a buy with a stop of 658, target of 683.
Ashwini, L&T is moving well as we speak. Your thoughts on the chart?
You know, the problem with L&T is that it does not show great amount of follow through. So being in an FMCG type stock has given you better returns. So I would think it's still kind of sideways, 1250 to about 1450.
Okay. All right, Ashwini. Thank you very much for that. Let's tilt our attention then to the big earnings today, and that's going to be ICICI Bank. Abhishek, you've been saying since morning, slippages will be the key to watch. Any numbers that the street is watching out for in terms of the actual slippage this time?
Well, Reema, analysts on street are expecting a slippage between 10,000 to 15,000 crore. Now, that compares to about 4,380 crore in the previous quarter. And this could mean that gross NPA can increase anywhere between 100 to 200 basis points. Now, where does this slippage actually come from? If it comes from the known level of watchlist and restructured portfolio, which both put together works out to close to 33,500 crores, then it's okay. But if it comes from non-watchlist, non-restructured portfolio or the standard book, then it will be taken negative. Bank has also sold stake in ICICI Securities, and that has led to a gain of 3,500 crore, which can be used for provision and making up, increasing your provision coverage ratio. Overall, we'll watch for how the movement in terms of stress asset that the bank plans going ahead and what is the reduction in watch list. Now, the loan growth, which was at 10.5% in the previous quarter, anything at and above 8 to 10% will be positive. Our poll suggests that this may be the worst quarter for ICICI Bank, as analysts on street are estimating that the NII is expected to decline by 1.7%, while the bank can report a net loss of close to 13 crore. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks very much for that. So also watch out besides numbers, if or not there's any sort of management-related announcements that are there, at least street thinks that there could be something there. But the other one that we're going to talk about is Sign, that's trading higher on bullish management commentary at the Analyst Day. Elec Design to is zooming on a strong Q4 performance. So Rima, you're tracking both of these stocks. What's the fine print?
Well, first on Sign, the business model is changing. Currently, the company gets 95% of its revenues from services, 5% from solution. Now, this 5% solution, they aim to scale it up to 25% in the next 3 years and then to 80% of revenues in the next 10 years. And this will be done via the company's internal innovation program, via investments in acquisition, partnerships, as well as people. For the near term, the company has indicated that there will be a 100 basis points margin impact on account of these investments, which they're looking to offset on account of efficiency. So on the whole, double-digit growth for FY19, flat margins. On the Elec Design arena, the numbers are looking very good. The company has reported a dollar revenue growth of 14% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Margins have improved to 8%. The company has more than doubled its profitability for FY19. For FY18 on the whole, its revenue growth was what, 24%. The company was loss-making. Now it's turned profitable as well. Even in terms of the deal pipeline and collections, the numbers are looking good. We'll get chatting with the management later on at about 2:15, so stay tuned for that. But moving on to Godrej Properties, that continues to gain ground.
Yeah, that's true actually. So that stock is up about 5% now. The company has reported a strong profit number after they raised about 1,000 crores post-dilution of about 5% equity stake to the GIC managed Gamnat PTE. We caught up with Pirojsha Godrej, the executive chairman, to know a little bit more about how the quarter has gone by. Hear him out.
During the year, we made a very concerted effort to improve our sales from existing inventory, because historically we've been very successful in launching new projects, and most of our focus has ended up being on those new launches. I think this year we wanted to ensure that an equal, if not greater, focus was put on sales from existing inventory, because those sales actually tend to generate higher cash flow and so on. So during the year, we saw a nearly tripling of those sales from existing inventory, and this year for the first time our sales from existing inventory was actually higher than our sales from new launches. We also had a strong year for business development. We added 12 new projects during the year. Those represent a total development portfolio increase of about 23 million square feet. 4 of those projects with about 6 million square feet were during the fourth quarter. So all in all, I think very happy with the operating performance during the year. This also allowed us to generate over 1,800 crore of positive operating cash flow, which in turn allowed us to reduce net debt by about 650 crore, while, as I mentioned, also substantially growing the company's portfolio.
All right, a quick break then. Up next, we'll talk about the rupee. That's been a big talking point today. Bhaskar Panda of HDFC Bank joins in to talk about what he makes of this fall and the way ahead. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Let's focus on the currency space then. The rupee has fallen to its lowest level since February 2017 on a mix of dollar strength and weakness in many emerging market currencies. Bhaskar Panda of HDFC Bank joins us on the phone line. Good afternoon, Mr. Panda. The rupee has cracked that 67 mark. Do you see 70 happening on the USD rupee anytime soon?
No, you are leading me to believe that it is going towards 70. I don't think so. I think this weakness is a combination of, 2-3 things. One is dollar index going higher. 2, oil remaining as it is at a higher level. 3, obviously the political situation in the country and the elections, so on and so forth. All these 3 together is playing on the psychology today, and maybe that is the reason why, rupee has gone past 67. I don't think it is going to go beyond maybe 67.50 or 67.60. I don't have any reason for saying so. However, probably that is because of my own maybe gut feeling that it is not going beyond that. As of now, there is a bearishness in the rupee, and that might continue for some more time.
Okay, Mr. Panda, good afternoon. There was some buzz that perhaps the Reserve Bank may have intervened at some 67, 13 odd. Would you know about that, or what level do you think is uncomfortable for the Reserve Bank? At what point do you think they might intervene?
See, intervention, I think, will happen only when there is a huge lot of volatility. I don't think at any point of time RBI just intervenes for the sake of keeping rupee at a certain point of against the dollar. So probably would have happened. I cannot confirm that, but they will always come when there is huge lot of volatility and a lot of speculation coming into the market without the real underlying force for the movement of rupee. So I think they will come as and when the need arises.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Panda. So the rupee weakness is due to a strong dollar, high crude prices, and perhaps some political uncertainty on account of the upcoming elections in Karnataka. But he doesn't see this weakness on the currency persisting well beyond 67.5, perhaps. Get into a break then. Up next, Kotak has downgraded Ujjivan and also raised some concerns because the BJP's manifesto for Karnataka speaks about the farm loan waiver. What impact will it have on Ujjivan as well as the other banks? MB Mahesh of Kotak Institutional Equities joins in on the other side.
Hi, welcome back. You're watching Midcap Radar. Well, just look at ONGC go. So that stock is now at the high point of trade. It's up about 2%, but the bulk of that has come only of late. The other one which is running away is GAIL. So keep your eye out on that. And a couple of these IT stocks, so Wipro, HCL Tech also doing well. And from the broader markets, the one to watch is PC Jewelers. Of course, it's been a real roller coaster of a ride for that stock. So now up about 40%, 6% higher in just the last, I think, few minutes odd. But let's speak about the banking space then. Ujjivan is the one that stock is really under pressure. It's lost about 6% today. Kotak has downgraded the stock, and MB Mahesh of Kotak Institutional Equities, the author of the report based on which Ujjivan had a rough day in trade, now joins in to talk about the rationale. Mahesh, hi, good afternoon. Thanks much for joining in. So I was going through your report. One of the prime reasons you say is that post the BJP manifesto release, where they talk about the farm loan waiver, you feel the future is not very bright for Ujjivan. Is your this downgrade premised primarily on the fact that whether or not this farm loan waiver is announced, defaults will start right away?
Hey, hi. No, there's just two parts to this entire report. One, we are discussing the entire farm loan waiver. Second, we also discuss what the impact will be for banks and MFIs specifically. And Ujjivan was a downgrade which was more driven by a price target achievement as well from our side. So just to kind of give you some insight, our entire call on the fact that when you're looking at the MFI portfolio in general, you need to broadly kind of split between what you've seen in the past, and also the fact that not necessarily every election, local elections, kind of results in a MFI crisis. You also need to differentiate some of these MFIs between what they have in the rural MFIs and what composition of your portfolio which you have in the rural side and the urban side. So there are a lot of variables which we'll have to see over the next few months to see what the impact will be for specific banks. The call on Ujjivan was a little bit clear, saying that it had reached our target price and we thought of downgrading it today.
Okay. So Mahesh, just coming on the farm loan waiver bid, and if it gets announced for Karnataka, that's if BJP actually does win the state elections, tell us the MFIs as well as banks which will be impacted and the extent to which they will be impacted. And the follow-up to that is that we've seen this get announced in various other states, whether it's Maharashtra, UP, Rajasthan. What was the actual impact on the slippages?
Okay, you come back to the same point as discussed earlier. It's a little bit hard to say right now. What typically happens is that ahead of the announcement or rather immediately after the announcement, you do see in many instances where the underlying borrower base starts to kind of stop making payment, and they kind of don't differentiate what the scheme is all about. In this specific instance, the waiver seems to have been announced only for nationalized banks and cooperatives, but the feedback which typically one hears from the ground is that the waiver is applicable for all farmers. So that becomes a major impact in the short term. But it takes about a few months to settle as the scheme is announced and it's rolled out to all branches and the notification comes through. And as the borrowers who are ineligible for those loans, they get to understand this issue. You see them making the repayment, and then the cycle of repayment, the cycle of disbursements again starts. So to answer the question, it's hard to say right now, but you've seen PSU banks having a very large portfolio of their underlying assets in agri, and they have seen some level of NPLs, and that's something which you would want to kind of watch out for.
Okay, so that's the bit about your report. But today is going to be a long day for you. We have ICICI Bank that will be reporting numbers quite late in the evening. So what's the key expectation there in terms of the asset quality, and also anything else that you'll be watching out for?
I think the key issue on, like what we have seen in the case of Axis as well, the key data point that you're looking at is on the slippages front. You're also kind of looking at what is the extent of slippages which is likely to come out from the watch list. Given the fact that ICICI had some benefit in this quarter where they have had some stake sale gains, you would ideally want to see a much higher slippages being at least reported, and you would also want to see a higher amount of these slippages coming from the watch list that they kind of give it to us.
So your estimate of slippages this quarter?
I think we have not published this number, so I don't think so. I think it will be a number much higher than what it was in the previous quarter.
All right. Thank you, Mahesh, for joining in. So that's the word on Kotak Institutional Equities. By the way, numbers coming in from First Source, at least on the bottom line, it looks disappointing. There is a decline of 6.7% in the company's profitability. Profits have come in at 92.8 crore. Revenues have gone up by 1.1%. So there is some growth on the revenue front, but profits have gotten impacted and have declined by 6.7% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. But in separate news over there, the company has also announced a dividend of 1.5 rupees per share. The only reason I'm highlighting it is that this is the first time First Source as a company has given dividend, and it's come a long way. This used to be a debt-ridden company, and from there they've repaid all their debt. They now have enough cash to pay out dividend. So first ever dividend announced by First Source of 1.5 rupees per share. We'll just try and understand why the profits have declined, because margins, as I see it, have gone up on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So revenue growth is 1.1%. I think margins too have improved on a sequential basis, but profits have fallen. So we'll just try and see if there is some item below the margin line which has impacted the profitability. Yes, as you can see, margins have gone up by 160 basis points. I believe there is a higher tax element which could have impacted the company's profitability. So we'll wait that to get flashed. So margin growth is looking good. I think it's the higher tax which has impacted the company's performance. So just trying to open the release this time to get some more color on that. Get into a break then.
Okay, I think we have some more news coming through. Here's the latest in the insolvency cases. Well, according to sources, lenders to JP Infra are still divided over the highest bidder for the company a day before the final voting is set to begin. Ritu Singh has more on that. Ritu, if the highest offer is also not good enough, what happens then? Could you take us through the details?
That's right. The Committee of Creditors to JP Infratech will be meeting today to consider the bid that has been placed by Lakshadweep, and that is a joint venture between Dosti Realty and Suraksha Asset Reconstruction Company. We understand that the bid that has been placed is close to 7,350 crore rupees, which also was brought down during the course of the negotiation from 7,700 crore rupees to now 7,350 crore rupees. Of this, we understand 4,000 crore rupees is what the company has offered for the land parcels and 1,200 crore rupees as cash repayment to the lenders. The remaining is long-term NCDs, and a very small equity stake will also be given to the lenders. But we also spoke to quite a few bankers, and they don't seem too happy with the bid. They still claim that the bid is depressed. Remember, the liquidation value of the company on account of the vast land holding that JP Infratech has is about 12,000 to 14,000 crore rupees, and the debt of the company is 10,000 crore rupees. So the lenders were hoping for a bid that would at least match the principal outstanding that has to be repaid. So the voting on this bid after it is discussed discussed today will be held tomorrow, and that is when we'll know the outcome on whether or not lenders accept this bid.
Okay, yes, as we had pointed out, there is a tax element because of which the company's profits are looking lower this quarter. The deferred tax, there was a benefit of a deferred tax to the tune of about 23 crores in the prior quarter. First source is the stock is down close to about 1%. But for the markets, we continue to inch higher. So now it's 200 points plus in terms of gains for the Sensex. The Nifty is rallied close to about 65 odd points, and gains are now visible even in a couple of these IT names. Wipro and HCL Technology have recovered and are moving up. With that, it's a wrap on Midcap Radar. Your stocks when we return.